Have you noticed that after 60, your body seems to wake you up earlier than it used to? Maybe you fall asleep just fine, but suddenly your eyes open at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., and no matter how much you try, going back to sleep feels almost impossible. At first, it can feel confusing. You may wonder if something is wrong. You may wonder if this is insomnia, or whether your sleep is slowly getting worse with age. For many adults over 60, early waking becomes one of the most unexpected changes in daily life. It can feel frustrating, especially if you still feel tired. But here is something important. Waking up earlier after 60 is often not a sign that your body is failing. In many cases, it is a sign that your biology is changing. Research suggests that sleep timing naturally shifts as the brain and hormones evolve with age. Your internal clock, the system that controls when you feel alert and when you feel sleepy, gradually resets itself. This change can happen quietly, so quietly that many people assume something must be wrong. But often, the body is simply adapting. Understanding why this happens can remove fear, and it may help you support deeper, more refreshing rest, even as sleep patterns change. Because after 60, sleep is not necessarily worse. It is often simply different. Deep inside the brain is a small region called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Scientists often call it the body's master clock. This clock controls circadian rhythm, the 24-hour cycle that regulates sleep and wake timing. When you were younger, this clock likely kept you awake later into the evening. But after 60, the timing of this clock often shifts forward. This shift is sometimes called an advanced sleep phase. In simple terms, the body begins preparing for sleep earlier in the evening and waking earlier in the morning. Research suggests structural changes occur in this part of the brain as we age. The signals that help distinguish day from night become slightly weaker. As a result, sleep may become lighter, and the body may become more sensitive to small disturbances like noise or temperature. You may feel sleepy earlier than you used to, sometimes as early as 7 or 8 p.m. Even if you try to stay awake longer, the body clock may still wake you early the next morning. This can make it feel like sleep is shorter, even if total sleep time has not changed dramatically. In reality, the sleep window has simply moved earlier. Instead of sleeping from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., your body may prefer sleeping from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. This change may feel inconvenient in modern society, but biologically, it can be completely normal. Sleep timing is not controlled by the brain alone. Hormones play a major role. Two hormones are especially important: melatonin and cortisol. Melatonin helps signal darkness and prepares the brain for sleep. Cortisol helps promote alertness and supports waking in the morning. After age 60, melatonin production often decreases, and the timing of melatonin release may begin earlier in the evening. This means the body may feel sleepy sooner than before. At the same time, cortisol may begin rising earlier in the morning. This early rise can gently activate the brain, even before sunrise. Some researchers describe cortisol as a biological alarm clock. It prepares the body for the day ahead. Another important change involves sleep structure. Sleep is divided into stages. One stage, called deep sleep, is especially important for physical repair and memory support. Studies suggest deep sleep may decrease from about 20% in early adulthood to around 10% later in life. As deep sleep decreases, lighter sleep stages increase. Lighter sleep means the brain can wake more easily. Even small disturbances can interrupt the sleep cycle. This can make sleep feel more fragile. But lighter sleep does not always mean poor sleep. It simply reflects how the brain changes over time. Many people continue to function well, even with less deep sleep than they had decades earlier. If your sleep schedule has shifted earlier over the years, comment the word "shift" below. It helps others see how common this experience really is. And it helps normalize a change that many people never talk about. There is also an interesting evolutionary perspective. Anthropologists have proposed something called the sentinel hypothesis. The idea is simple. In early human history, survival often depended on group safety. If everyone slept at the same time, the group would be vulnerable to predators or danger. Research observing traditional hunter-gatherer communities shows that sleep timing varies naturally between individuals. Younger adults often stay awake later. Older adults tend to wake earlier. This creates a natural rotation of alertness throughout the night. In one study, there were very few moments when everyone in the group was asleep at the same time. From an evolutionary perspective, older adults may have played the role of early risers who helped protect the group at dawn. While modern life is very different, our biology may still carry traces of these ancient patterns. Your early waking pattern may reflect a rhythm shaped thousands of years ago. Not a flaw, but a biological inheritance. Although early waking can be natural, certain factors may intensify the experience. One common factor is nighttime urination. Many adults over 60 wake at least once during the night to use the bathroom. This interruption can make it harder to return to sleep. Sleep apnea may also become more common with age. This condition can cause breathing interruptions that briefly wake the brain. Many people do not remember these awakenings. They simply feel that sleep was not refreshing. Medication use can also influence sleep quality. Some medications used for blood pressure may reduce melatonin production. This may make it harder to maintain deep sleep throughout the night. Daily routines also play an important role. During working years, schedules tend to be structured. Wake times, meal times, and activity times often follow predictable patterns. After retirement, daily structure sometimes becomes more flexible. While flexibility can be enjoyable, less routine can weaken signals that regulate circadian rhythm. Researchers call these signals social time cues. Examples include consistent wake times, regular meals, sunlight exposure, physical activity, social interaction. When these cues become inconsistent, the internal clock may drift, sometimes drifting toward earlier waking patterns. Understanding these influences can help explain why sleep changes after 60. Often, multiple small factors combine to create noticeable shifts. Have you noticed your daily routine becoming more flexible after retirement? Share yes or no in the comments. Sometimes small daily structure changes can influence sleep more than we realize. The goal is not always to force yourself to sleep later. Sometimes the goal is to improve sleep quality within your natural rhythm. Research suggests several gentle strategies may help support better sleep. Consistency may be one of the most powerful tools. Going to bed and waking at similar times each day helps stabilize the internal clock. Light exposure also plays a key role. Bright light in the evening may help shift sleep timing slightly later for individuals who feel sleepy too early. Daytime sunlight is equally important. Natural light helps reinforce circadian rhythm signals. Physical activity may also support deeper sleep. Even moderate movement such as walking can help regulate sleep patterns. Social interaction may also strengthen daily rhythm cues. Regular conversations, hobbies, or group activities may indirectly support sleep timing stability. Some individuals may benefit from small doses of melatonin supplements when recommended by a healthcare professional. Research suggests low-dose melatonin may help compensate for reduced natural production in older adults. Experts often recommend caution with strong sedative sleep medications. Certain medications may increase risk of confusion or falls in older adults. Gentle behavioral approaches often provide safer long-term results. Small changes, practiced consistently, may gradually support more stable sleep patterns. Waking early after 60 can feel concerning, especially when sleep used to feel effortless. But in many cases, this change reflects a natural adjustment in biology. The brain's internal clock shifts. Hormones change their timing. Sleep structure evolves. Daily rhythms become more flexible. And ancient evolutionary patterns may still influence modern sleep behavior. Understanding these changes can reduce unnecessary worry. Sleep after 60 may not look exactly the same as sleep at 30, but that does not mean it cannot still be healthy. Many people discover that early mornings can become a quiet opportunity, a time for calm thinking, gentle movement, reflection, or simply beginning the day at a slower pace. If this video helped you better understand why sleep changes after 60, consider subscribing for more research-based insights into healthy aging. And share in the comments. What time does your body naturally wake you up now? Your experience may help others feel less alone. This video is for educational purposes only and does not replace medical advice. Sleep changes are common with age, but understanding the reasons behind them can make the experience feel far less stressful and often more manageable than it first appears.